Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for our Village of Alsip Committee meeting. Today is August 31st, 2020, and we'll call this meeting order at 7:30 p.m. Can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Zielinski?
Here.
Trustee Juarez?
Here.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Nava-Esparza? Here. Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we've got a bid opening this evening. We've actually got a bid opening and an RFP opening. So we'll start with the bid opening. This is for the Pulaski Road and Springfield Avenue fire service connections. This is actually connecting to our new water mains that were just installed for fire hydrants, correct, Ann? And all fire systems. Fire protection.
How many bids did we receive?
We received two.
Okay.
The first bid is from Aries, AIRY'(S) Incorporated, 7455 West Duvan Drive, Tinley Park, Illinois, 60477. A bid bond is included. Commissioner Triben, I'm assuming you would just like the grand total read?
Yes.
Okay. The grand total for this bid is $223,223. Again, that is 223,223. The second bid received is from H. Linden and Sons, 722 East South Street, Unit D as in David, Plano, Illinois, 60545. A bid bond is included. And they are showing the total as $196,190. That's 196,190. And that concludes that bid opening, Mayor Ryan.
Thank you. The second was for an RFP opening for the Pulaski Road corridor. This is a TIF redevelopment property located at 11706 to 11730 Pulaski. This property is currently owned by the Village of Alsip.
We only received one response to the RFP, and it is from Taco Burrito King, 5413 West Belmont Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60641. Mayor, what would you like to be read into the record?
We could probably, we haven't, let's put it this way, we haven't drafted any kind of redevelopment agreement yet or anything like that, and certainly the board will have to consider the offer being made, but out of respect for whatever they're offering to pay for this property or whatever then too, I think it might just be pertinent just to say who gave it, what you just did. Taco Burrito King made the offer,
Okay.
and that, is there even like a scope of what they're proposing to build there or anything like
They
that?
have intended use. They've noted the property, they've noted the sale price, they've noted the earnest money, and they've noted site conditions.
Okay. I'd like to defer that to the committee then, to the, actually, this would probably be Economic Development Committee, and we'll come back and read, after we've had our attorney take a look and see what we can say. We'll announce that at the next meeting.
That's why I wanted
Yeah.
to ask.
Thanks, okay.
Okay.
And we appreciate their interest in that, too, because we did get a termination letter from the previous folks, and the COVID-19 struck them pretty hard with their business model, so we appreciate their interest in that property. All right, thank you. Next, we'll go to the officers' report, starting with myself. First, if everybody notices, the room might look not too much different. You know, the facade still looks the same, but last week, Roger Early had his guys replace all the lighting in here, and we're compliant now with what the state has asked for efficient, energy-efficient light bulbs. So everything's more of that daylight look when you come in here. So it's a little bit brighter, and we did all the, we got most of the offices, Raj, the same way too, right? Okay. Okay, thanks. Now, with the last of our summer help, are they pretty much done now too?
We're going to finish up shortly. He's going to finish up the offices and
Okay. Next, Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, I got a notice today. They actually, one of the organizations that we're a member of, they moved their offices. They're going to be located now at 433 West Van Buren. And then I did have an update from our DEP regarding our EOPs, meaning that our Director of Emergency Preparedness gave me just a notice to share with the board, just a heads up. We still have a substantial amount of work to do on the village emergency operations plan. He's working with an intern. Chuck Geraci is working with an intern right now. Hopefully within the next few weeks, the first draft will be forwarded to the county for review. His intern, Christopher Lauer, has agreed to continue and assist Chuck and the village to see this huge project through to the end. He's very thankful and appreciative, and that Christopher is willing to help. For our information, before long, Chris will be a member of the Alsip CERT team as well. As you know, the next course begins on Wednesday, September 9th. Therefore, please continue to keep, right now Chris Lauer is working out of conference room 3. So we appreciate the work on this. We adopted a temporary format, but he's obviously putting together something formal for the village to adopt. As far as an emergency operation plan, that's well overdue. First thing I had on my agenda was the acknowledgement, well, I'm sorry, we just did that with the RFPs. The second was a request to approve an honorary street designation. I had, on your agendas, I thought it would be proper based on the amount of work and tenure that was put in by former Mayor Arnie Andrews, and I'm asking the board if they would make an honorary street designation on Orchard Street here, right outside the Village Hall, between us and Lane School across the street, between 122nd and 123rd. On your packets, obviously there's a long description that nobody wants to hear me read, 2.5 pages. Are you sure you guys don't want me to read this and stuff? All right, everybody can read what I had. Basically, in short, Mayor Andrews was in office 6 years as a trustee, 32 years as a mayor. He did a wonderful job. He oversaw a lot of new development that happened here in our community, including new housing subdivisions like David Estates, Arbor Glen, and Deer Park, as well as Chapel Hill. He also encouraged, as I've mentioned in previous meetings, he was one of the people to help encourage the Park District to purchase that landfill on Kedzie, which is now known as Fountain Hills Golf Club. So there's many things here in this list that we can identify with. Unfortunately, Mr. Andrews passed away at the age of 73 of congestive heart failure, and that was back in June 7th of 2010. He survived cancer and other heart-related issues prior to his passing. So I'm asking that the board would consider designating Orchard Street between 122nd and 123rd. Part of the application asks, what is the proposed designation, or words, how would you like it to read? It doesn't have to be what I say. It's certainly if the board would like input, certainly that's what we're here for. I was going to suggest Mayor Arnie Andrews Way. So again, that's Mayor Arnie Andrews Way on Orchard Street. Did anyone have any questions?
No.
And again, per our ordinance, we can do as many as 10 of these a year. So, I mean, certainly it's not just, it's the language that's in the ordinance well before I was here. And that's obviously the last revision, or ordinance anyway, went back to December 2005. The second request that was on here was by the Lighthouse Church of All Nations. They're located at 4501 West 127th Street, and they'd like to see, they're requesting an honorary street designation on behalf of their pastor, Dan Willis. In everyone's packet, you've got the overview, the request, rather, I should say, that was submitted by Miss Lorena. I've got her name here in a second. Thank you, Lorena Ortega. We appreciate Ms. Ortega. She was at a meeting last month here with us. The honorary street designation, it's nobody's fault. It's the way the question's asked. It says, what is the proposed designation? In other words, how would you like it to read? She didn't actually have that laid out. It just said to serve as a reminder of all the good work he's done on behalf of the church. So certainly we can confer with her, but as far as a street, what street to be determined, she kind of left that up to us. It said street name, what street were you looking for, and she said to be determined. And when we spoke last at our meeting, at our last committee meeting, I had mentioned certainly the driveway that serves their church off 127th Street, I think would be the most, in my opinion, would be the most notable street to obviously identify with the church, and she seemed pretty applicable to that, but then she had also said, well, how about a regular street right near there too someplace, and obviously the closest street to there would be Costner Avenue, because everything else is owned by the state. We can't take a state-owned road, and even for an honorary designation, that's not our purview to do. How did the board feel about that? Was everyone more inclined with, first off, we'll vote on this next week, but were you more inclined to lean toward the driveway designation, or does anyone have issues with taking maybe from 127th to 126th on Costner Street?
Isn't the driveway a private driveway? They could name it themselves anyway.
Yeah, but if we put the sign up, then
Yeah, you obviously use an official pole or whatever. I mean, we got to hang it on something, right? I don't know. No?
And do construction of private property. Not spend public funds to improve.
Yeah, I think Costner would be a better idea, too.
Yeah. Well, all we're supposed to do is, according to the honorary designation, is facilitate a sign. That would be, obviously it looks uniform to everything else that goes up in town. So if they were to erect a post for it, we can certainly supply a sign for it and stuff then too. So,
St. Terrence has a sign for Father Reardon
okay.
in their driveway.
Mhm.
That was 100 years ago. So
It wasn't that many years ago.
Isn't that on Costner, though, also?
No.
No.
Terrence
Is it
is
going
on the
in?
driveway.
In front of the church.
it's
It's between the parking lot and the church itself.
so that's a private drive facilitating just the church itself.
with a street, with our street sign on it.
Okay.
It's a
So right now, we do not have a regular street at the location. We've talked about some development, especially with first development who's got property next door, but that's down the road. You know, we're trying to, should a development come there, we've talked before about the need probably to introduce a street, but at this time it doesn't exist. And if that was the consensus of the board, obviously we can recommend the driveway. We can certainly facilitate a sign for them. They can get their own pole and all that kind of thing, because as a trustee reminded us, you know, we don't work on private property, but Mike, we can certainly facilitate a signage like we would for the honorary then too, and we'll acknowledge it as such then too, as the driveway, much like Trustee Murphy just said that they do over at St. Terrence Church for Father Reardon, who passed away. So
I'm not saying I'm for or against it, but will we be providing a sign for every church that asks for their pasture?
that's their prerogative to ask. You know, like I said, I've been in office 3 years. This is the first organization that's asked. And certainly, you know, that's they can ask us, and that's, as a board, we're here to approve that policy too, if we're willing to do that. So, yeah,
That's what I'm asking. Are we willing to provide every
sure.
church pastor?
Yeah,
a
we'll
sign
consider
that
it. Yeah, whatever street they're looking for. Yeah, not everybody has a private drive. Some do.
Trustee Murphy, does St. Terrence have a street address that is a number in Costner or a number in one of
I
the,
believe it's 11900, wouldn't be 00.
It's 01.
01.
okay. So then the church would just have to remain whatever
Yeah,
current street address they have. They couldn't rename it or
Oh,
change
no,
their
that's a
address.
major headache to actually go through a rename.
Right, so,
This is
but that's what I'm
purely
saying. I mean, so
honorary.
it would have to be Pastor Dan
Right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But it's just honorary,
driveway or
so
something.
it's whatever you want to
Right,
call
right.
it.
I
And
just- Okay.
Pastor Dan Way, you know?
So I'll ask Ms. Ortega then for our next meeting to get me the language that they'd like to have on the signage. But it would be, is it the consensus of the board that we'd like to see it put on their driveway to make more identifiable with their church?
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems to make the most sense, and I believe, to Trustee Warren's point, my belief as well, is that I doubt that there's a clergy of any denomination that doesn't do great things for the congregation and for the community that they support.
Sure.
Some of the issues that you might have, though, are some of Alsip is served by churches outside of the corporate limits. So now, do we recognize those clergy from a church outside of the village with designation of a street?
Obviously, I would assume that we would only recognize organizations within the village of Alsip. Actually, it says,
They serve the community.
it says right here, I'm sorry, I'll just, so it's on the application, it says, honorary street names are restricted to the following entities of local significance to the village of Alsip. So it's either individuals, organizations, or actually even events. You can name after any of those three. And
Census Way.
yeah. And this part A is it asks for whom you're recommending this designation for. Part B is what's the reason for the recommendation, and basically in parentheses it has applicants are encouraged to complete a short essay that provides justification for the proposed honorary designation. The completed essay should be attached, which they did. We saw that in the packet here and so forth. And then, obviously, then it goes into location. So, yes, it does speak for itself in the ordinance. This only applies to entities of local significance. So, yeah, we wouldn't be honoring folks from, like, let's say, another community or anything like that. Go ahead, Mike.
Mayor, much like Father Reardon Drive in St. Terrence, because it's a private drive, it's not an honorary street sign. It's regular street sign. Same thing would be the case for Lighthouse Church. It's a private drive. It's not a designated street, so it would not have the honorary standard.
Okay. Okay. Let me speak with Ms. Ortega then, and let me find out. I see what you're saying, that it wouldn't actually...
It would be made up,
Oh, yeah, right.
but it wouldn't be honorary.
It wouldn't be honorary, it would just be a designated, it's a driveway anyway, but,
Sign on a green sign.
okay. All right. Now, obviously, this is where you folks, you do this all the time, yeah, too. Mike, when's the last honorary street designation have you done? And what year was that? Roughly 2010, that was Jack Maury. I am familiar, that's 118th Street, right? Between Pulaski and Kaminsky. Right. Okay. Well, again, we certainly want to recognize local entities as the application provided, but for the next meeting, I'll ask Ms. Ortega if they're okay with that. Otherwise, if she'd like to see the honorary, obviously then we're back to looking at a village street, and that's why I was bringing up both ideas here.
She did mention that when she was here, she would prefer to have
I don't think it
it on like a regular street.
Right. That's why I'm going that direction. So, trustees, would you be willing to consider a honorary designation on Costner near the church between 126th and 127th? Much like we're doing one block here for former Mayor Andrews, would you be willing to do a block that direction on Costner?
It makes sense it would be the closest street to them,
Right.
other than 127th, which we can't do.
Right.
So it would make sense to me.
I'm not in favor of that. I prefer the driveway.
Okay.
I also prefer the driveway.
Drive. Okay. Trustees?
Well, after hearing that Father Reardon's is on their private drive, then I think we should keep it pretty much the same way.
Okay.
And for the former mayors, traditionally, this village is named real streets
Real streets.
for former
Mhm.
mayors.
And that's what Trustee McLaughlin had suggested. I did look at that, and I'm certainly, if the board wants to do it, we can certainly do that. Well, let's finish the conversation on the church first. How do you feel about it, Trustee Navas-Garza?
I'd be in favor of a driveway,
Okay.
a private driveway.
All right, so the majority went to the driveway. So that's the conversation I'll have with Ms. Ortega. Going back to what Trustee Dalzell just suggested was, and Trustee McLaurin said the same thing, there's actually only one address on the street that it would affect. We did double check with Lane School. Lane School actually uses 123rd Street address. So it would only affect one street if we were to rename this whole Orchard Street, and that would be the public work facility. So we would have to redo that, if that's the direction we go, to rename the street after Mr. Andrews, is we take this one block.
And so from what I understand, though, in dealing with the post office and getting an address actually changed is a major headache.
We're having enough fun just getting mail right now.
Right.
No, let's, throw a hook at them and stuff on that. I actually,
So-
The renaming of it,
Mhm.
I'm suggesting is that if we have a future development,
Next new street that gets made.
yeah,
to kind of keep that one in our pocket.
okay.
That's a good idea.
I mean, I'd have no issue with the honorary designation in the meantime.
Yeah.
And then
Should
next time we
something
get a
come
new
up.
street.
Right. Now, and you're right. I mean, it doesn't have to just stand here, but we can certainly, as you said, Mayor Tremonti's got a street, Mayor Bank and so forth, yeah, too. So even Mayor Van Beveren, he's got a street.
So if it's honorary, though, we wouldn't have to change the address to the Public Works
Right.
building.
No,
It's just a street sign.
right. I'm just saying, if we went full-blown,
Understand.
yeah, it would just affect one address. And again, our Public Works is too much work to think that we should turn all that around. Just leave that alone and stuff, that's all. So, all right, so then I'll have it on the agenda for consideration at next week's meeting, and I'll talk to Ms. Ortega.
You have just the 45th Avenue, you got the back end there.
And that's all I had on my report this evening. So next we had the clerk's report,
No report this evening, Mayor Ryan.
okay? We had the public forum. Did anyone in the audience wish to address the board this evening, too? At least we got you set up here, coming up on, I thought, where did we have this on here, too, Trustee Murphy? That was under, you know what, let me do the public forum first. Bob, did you want to say something to the board? Or did you just want to talk to somebody individually in private?
Ernest.
Ernest, I apologize.
Yes, well, I'm talking to him about it.
Okay.
But it's just that,
You know what, sir, can I ask, I'm sorry to do this, can you come up to the mic? What's that? Go ahead. Just because unfortunately, we record these meetings, Ernest, and they can't hear you. Go ahead.
What I was saying is about the carpet in the building. I don't know how the other carpet in the other buildings is, but the building that I stay in, they have spoken about replacing it, but they haven't did that, and it's filthy, really.
Ernest, what building are you? You're in the Heritage, right?
Right.
Which one? Where you at?
In Heritage 1.
Heritage 1? Okay.
415.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I've been, obviously, Mr. Early knows, in fact, we just talked about this last Wednesday at our department head meeting. I'm trying to get these carpets done. We've been talking about them for a couple of years in the common areas, but you're talking about in your unit itself?
No, common area.
Common area? Okay. Raj, ballpark, when do you think we're going to see this? Because I asked you about this on Wednesday.
I would say late October.
Late October, you think?
The asphalt is done in 2 weeks, or next week.
Okay.
And then the following, we'll get the bids back out and get it probably toward the end of October.
All right.
Yeah, because it's filthy, and I don't know, they used to, clean it, but I don't know when the last time they cleaned it.
I know they cleaned the building, but I understand that the carpets are getting pretty beat up. They're dated.
Carpet in the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Ernest, I appreciate you coming in too, seriously, because like I said, I've been talking with our property manager quite a bit about this lately then too. I was hoping to get it last season, it just, for whatever reason, it didn't happen, but we have appropriated money for it, and I spoke to Roger last Wednesday at our department head meeting, so we'll be looking for some activity in there before, let's put it this way, if you're saying we're going to get a bid spec out, because we got to get this year's number, just to make sure we're paying this year, not last year's figure. And I've already told them that, we're getting at least 3 bids, but we're going to put this out to bid. And once we get those bids, how long do you think, ballpark, Roger, to get that installed?
It'll more than likely be about a month and a half.
So you're thinking before Christmas this will get done?
I'm hoping they can finalize it before the snow flies.
Okay, so we're looking for these bids to come in end of October, Ernest, and then certainly I'm all over it, really. He and I talk about this at least once a month lately and stuff then too.
Like I said, we appreciate it.
Absolutely, sir, no problem. Yeah, if you can just sign your name that you spoke to us tonight.
Hey, excuse me, Mayor.
Sure.
If I could, while we're on the subject of this, I mean, we got Roger over there, we got Becky over there, we got, residents coming in, making complaints. What is Zeiler doing over there?
This is on us as the landlord, as far as us facilitating the carpet. They manage the buildings, but it's our
What are
property.
they managing? Because we're talking about replacing windows, we're talking about railings, we're talking about carpet, we're talking about the pool. We talk
actually-
about every facet of Heritage.
But we also cut a lot out of the budget, too, didn't we? Raj, can you come up to the mic for a sec, please? Thanks. Because we can't hear you back there.
It just seems though that if they're the management company, that they should be dealing with the residents and bringing that information to us, rather than having 10, 15, 20 residents come in.
I'd agree. I agree with you, sure. And certainly if it's make it correct. Go ahead, Raj.
No, what I had stated was that all that stuff was pulled out of the budget this year. Everything that you mentioned was pulled out of my budget.
I understand, but doesn't Zeiler also have a budget that they have to work within so they can, what are they managing? What are they doing?
Not for capital projects like this.
No,
They
capital,
don't
it's all
handle
on the
that.
village.
Okay, so again,
cleaning.
to my question, what are they doing?
They manage our apartment complex.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
They actually facilitate not only customer service for everybody that has an issue of any type. They don't call the village hall for that. They call the
The
management
resident
company.
comes in and complains about it.
No, the resident wants to know when they're going to see it because they haven't seen it. We are the landlord. So certainly the gentleman can ask the management company, but it's going to be deferred to us. When are we going to make that purchase?
All right, I know.
We don't give them money like that just to spend. We oversee, we're very careful with the money and so forth, and we've had other projects. Well, is the seal coating done yet?
Seal coating is scheduled for Tuesday of next week.
And that was one that we're always apprehensive about because I wanted it done last year and it didn't get done yet. But when we seal coat, certainly that's the last thing we want is brand new carpet down. And everybody tramples through the fresh seal coat and drags it through the house and everything. So it's nobody's fault. It's just characteristic of what we're doing. But more importantly is, let's spend our money wisely. It's not, when's the last time new common carpet was done?
Over
Long
at
time ago.
Heritage 2, it's been at least 16 to 17 years.
Okay.
Over at Heritage 1 in 2004, 2005.
Okay, so you're, same deal. It's 15, 16 years out and stuff then too. So we're ready for replacement over there. And again, this is where, like I said, we cut a lot of those major capital expenses out with the exception of carpet. So I apologize, Roger. What was the date you gave me when seal coat's getting done?
It'll start next Tuesday and Thursday at Heritage 1, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at Heritage 2.
And this is a pretty big undertaking too, when they go to, Ernest, when they go to like seal coat all your parking lots and they stripe them all again, just to move all those cars and get all the residents to cooperate, that's a chore, you know, so, yeah, but once all that gets done, then we're moving on with the carpet and stuff then too. So, no, we appreciate your patience with that. But as landlords, that's on us right now and stuff then too, so.
If I can speak to that as well. I was trying to organize census events there for Heritage 1 and 2, and I also observed, I guess, the untidiness of the clubhouse. And also then it just also drew questions about, you know, the things that we're signing here at committee. So I did ask Clerk Petzel for the contract between Zeiler and ourselves, and it appears that it's just now on a month-to-month basis that the contract that we did have expired in 2014. Mm-hmm. And why haven't we renewed? That's one question. And to Trustee Zelinski's point as well is, what is Zeiler doing? And I was going to actually ask this later in under petitions and communications, and I'd like to ask the chair of the Village Properties Committee if we can actually try to get a contract in motion, send the current contract that we have for attorney review so that it can actually be more in line with a property manager relationship with our village.
Trustee, when Trustee Nava-Esparza, when we spoke about this just a couple of days ago, I had suggested that while their situation, their status is the same as it's been, even though they don't have a contract, they also haven't got an increase in any kind of wages on their half either at the same time for the last 6 years.
Well, they have, though, because they get a percentage of the rents, and so
Exactly.
when we raise the rents, they get more money.
I get that, but we haven't like increased the number. I mean, in other words, we try to stay as full as possible as far as reduction in vacancy and stuff like that yet
Correct.
too. But more importantly is, and obviously we're still rehabilitating apartments as people move out yet too, and qualifying them. If somebody was only there a couple of years and was already rehabbed, you're not doing that same rehab and stuff
Correct.
too. So, but what I was going to recommend, Trustee, and what I told Trustee Nava-Esparza was to ask, obviously with your committee's approval, I think it's time that we do seek RFPs for apartment management. And if the board if the committee agrees, then I think that's what we should do. Let's advertise it. We'll get an RFP put together.
Well, I mean, as you know, Mayor, we had a meeting with Zeiler.
Mm-hmm.
We asked them to put together a proposal, and that was back before the first of the year. And we have yet to hear back from them.
That's why I'm saying let's put it out.
I'm in complete agreement that it's time to go out to RFP.
That's fine. All right, so that, we'll put that on next week's agenda then, asking for approval to go out for RFP for management services at the Heritage Apartments, okay?
Okay.
All right.
But before we get to that step, could we actually have our attorney review, in essence, as a starting point of what the contract is now, to then say what it is that we want to be done moving forward? And then,
The contract now doesn't say much of anything.
exactly. Alluding to that point, I think it was like 4 pages, I think, if I counted them correctly. So that's also of concern to me, that let's get this right, have the attorney review it. You know, I used to live, in a condo before, and I was a board member of the HOA there, and just what I saw there, it was very bare bones. So it is of concern, and I think the attorney should have a first round in recommending what he's seen, perhaps, in other, I guess, arrangements or commitments that he's seen between a property management company.
I think the proper way to do it's always the channels. Obviously, I jumped a gear there real quick, but it's where we ask next week for approval to have the village attorney amend, if necessary, the current contract. We're going to review that before final approval, so it might take 2 meetings for that to get done. But in the meantime, we've got 3-4 weeks we can have that revamped. And we've gone this long. what's a few weeks to get the contract reviewed correctly, and we'll get a good contract approved. For RFP is what I'm saying.
Well, I was going to say RFP, right, because
Right.
we didn't say we don't need the contract until we get through the RFP
Right.
and identify exactly what we're
But board
asking for.
approves expenditures, and especially if we have an attorney involved to review our RFP and so forth, that's what we're going to ask for next week. Okay? All right.
Mayor, yeah. Excuse me.
Were you going to?
I was going to ask that first of all, but he already covered it. But I did want to ask one other thing.
I'm sorry, for the benefit at home, Roger's speaking with one of the residents here for a sec. Okay. All right, so you're going to talk out in the hall. So, yeah, we'll ask next week then that the board approve.
Yeah, I was to your point, I was going to say the same thing. You know, you're a big advocate about RFPs, and we haven't seen anything since before we were all seated. But second, I was going to ask, why isn't maintenance people keeping up with the carpet? With the cleaning and
We
everything?
have maintenance there every single day. What he's saying is the
We
carpets
as the
are...
village, or we as the management?
Their maintenance crew maintains that building every single day. And, or let's say whatever day it is, but the buildings are cleaned every single week. We've got the village, the Zeiler manages our maintenance. I don't like using the word our. They manage their maintenance crews daily at that facility, at both facilities, Heritage 1 and 2. So those facilities are cleaned every day. What they're referring to is the fact that you've got, I don't know, 24 units per building, maybe more, 36 units per building, and obviously with the traffic flow, the common area carpets that are, whatever, 6-8 feet wide are just exhausted. You know, they're worn out and everything else and stuff then too. So that's what we're looking to replace is the common area carpets. We've done, Roger does a great job of keeping up on the maintenance, and every year we get a big grocery list of everything that he'd like to see capital-wise replaced. And like he said, this year, with all the reductions that we made, we cut a lot of that out of that budget. So the only thing we left was the carpeting, and we took out the pool and all kinds of other things that needed to be done. So it's time to get it done, and that's why he knows. We talked about this Wednesday at our department head meeting. I brought that up the last couple of meetings. I want to get that stuff done. I agree. We had some conversation here in the boardroom where, you know, we approve projects and we don't see more of them getting done, and Becky Smith is assisting Roger with this thing too, because I can't put any more on his plate. He's got too many things to do as it is. But, and as Trustee McGlohan said, we had an issue back around Christmas time with one of the residents, and she and I went over and met with the management company, and I think they've done, we haven't had too many complaints. They've done a good job screening, they've done a good job managing those apartments, and they were willing to work on a month-to-month basis, but it's time. In other words, we had nothing to share with the board, and if that's the case, then fair's fair. We're going out to an RFP.
Right.
That's the best way of doing business.
And at that particular meeting that the mayor and I had, I specifically asked them, because the way we're handling the bills right now between Heritage 1 and Heritage 2 are completely different. And so I specifically asked them to come back with a proposal where we were getting both complexes under one umbrella, one structure, and I wanted potentially shared staff across the facility, so we shouldn't be paying dedicated people at each one. They ought to be able to work at both as needed. And again, they haven't come back to us.
So RFP, I think, is the best way to go with this, and it creates a good, transparent, and not to mention, we've seen through some RFPs, like we did with auditing and whatnot, occasionally we save some money on this kind of thing, which is always a good thing, too. So
What's the percentage we're paying them?
I think it's
5
or 6%, something like
Off the
that.
rents.
6%, so we're paying them nearly $300,000 a year?
No,
But then
it's not
plus
that much. I don't have the budget in front of me, so I can't answer that
I can
question
forward
right
you
here.
the contract.
Yeah, between the two complexes, though, I think it's slightly over 200,000.
Roger, just for a quick clarification, roughly what is the budget for management over there? Do you remember?
Not off the top.
Yeah, me neither. I don't have the budget in front of me right now, so I have to look that up. Next. Thanks, Raj. I appreciate it. Thank you. We have somebody in the audience, and rather than making them wait halfway through the meeting, I'd like to go out of order here for a second and go to the presentations, petitions, or communications. Trustee Murphy had an item on the agenda. Did you want to speak to that, Trustee?
We have a request to consider lowering video gaming fees as suggested by Lisa Zett, proprietor of Southside's Bar, as the current fee stands at $500 per video game terminal annually. The state of Illinois allows up to 6 video game terminals per establishment, $3,000 annually per establishment. What I was proposing, based on the information that we were given, and I wasn't a part of the board when this was decided, that the video gaming initially was $25 per terminal, and then it was raised to $500. I was proposing to cut the terminal per terminal to $250 per terminal. In addition, to charge the owners of the machines a licensing fee of $1,000 per establishment to help offset that. So rather than $3,000 for 6 machines, it would be $1,500 plus $1,000 for a licensing fee issued to the vendor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trustee, did you have an extra, I just made you a copy of that. Did you have an extra one? I didn't have one in front of me here. Thanks. Thanks, Rick. So this, trustees, this wasn't in your packet. It didn't get transferred for some reason, but there was what we spoke about last month with Ms. Zett when we were talking about video gaming terminal fees, and with regard to part of what Trustee Murphy just spoke to, part of what $25 used to represent was that's what non-home rule communities charge as per the state of Illinois, is what they charge for video gaming terminals. Per terminal was $25 each. Home rule communities had the ability to obviously implement a fee that they felt was fair for calls for service and whatnot. For an establishment, they had video gambling terminals, gaming terminals rather, in their establishments. So in this survey of home rule communities, we'll try and get through these as far as what's similar. Right now, again, as Trustee Murphy said, Alsip charges $500 per video gaming terminal, meaning per machine, which is $3,000, because there's 6 machines per establishment, so that means it's $3,000 per establishment. Chicago Heights, it charges the same, $500 per gaming terminal, plus $1,000 for a permit fee every year, so they're getting $4,000 per establishment. Bloomingdale, Illinois, charges the same thing we do. The city of Burbank charges $800 per terminal, so they're
not home. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, city of Burbank is $800 per terminal, so they're actually getting $4,800 per establishment. Village of Wheeling, $1,000 per terminal, so they're getting $6,000 per establishment. And again, I feel our number is pretty fair at $3,000. Town of Cicero is getting $1,500 per terminal, meaning it costs $9,000 per establishment. Next door to us here in Chicago Ridge, the Ridge is getting $1,000 per terminal plus a $1,000 permit fee. So while we're getting $3,000 per establishment, the Ridge is getting $7,000. Cook County is $1,000 per gaming terminal plus a $500 permit fee. Woodridge is $750 per terminal. Oak Lawn is $500 per terminal plus a $1,000 fee. So Oak Lawn's $4,000 per establishment. So, and then even like Elgin, they're doing the same thing as Cicero. They're at $1,500 per machine, and Midlothian charges the same thing we do. So a couple of the nearby communities being obviously Midlothian and Oak Lawn are close to, are the same what we charge, but obviously Oak Lawn's got the $1,000 permit fee involved yet too, so.
Now, Mayor, are these permit fees ongoing or just at the time of initial application?
It's annual fees. That's for renewal, for annual, it's much like what you, like on gas station pumps. Every year they come in and they get a vending machines and so forth. They annually, the sticker doesn't really mean anything. It's just the mayor, we're acknowledging that this has been paid for. Because sometimes in some organizations, like with tax and so forth, you know, inspectors can actually roll up to a gas station and see that this has been served, even for our inspectors too, they can do it. You don't have to, but it's just a symbol of not acknowledging that the tax has been paid on that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, specifically the question, the permit fee, separate from the terminal fee. So as I said, is that, I mean, because, you know, a building permit you pay for one time. You don't pay for that every year. So that's why I'm a little bit confused on how.
No, that's an annual reoccurring permit fee. So every year they're going to pay $1,000 for that permit to operate in the village, much like a roofing company or anybody else. Every year, if they want to be a roofer in our town, they're going to buy a new license to be here every season. Currently, right now, the village of Alsip's got 16 establishments throughout the town that are basically they're all paying the same rate. You know, it's $3,000 per establishment. So right now, where the village is collecting in annual fees is $48,000. So what the trustee is proposing is, what you're saying, Trustee Murphy, to cut that in half to $24,000.
Yes.
Okay. Did anybody on the board have any comment on this?
I wouldn't be in favor of reducing the fees. I think it's a choice to either, if it's a burden to pay the existing fees, then I would think the establishment could either reduce the number or choose not to have them and still operate. So I think it's in essence a choice, and I try to compare it to also households. Households are also impacted during this time. They're also making difficult choices as well. Maybe people have eliminated cable, and now they just stream online and so forth. So I know it's apples and oranges and stuff, but it also comes down to difficult decisions that people might have to make if it is causing some type of a financial burden. So I would not be in favor of reducing.
Ms. Sutton, you're here tonight. Did you want to say anything about this too? No? Okay. So, I feel, you know, the request that Ms. Zett had last time she was in was about helping small business and being compassionate to the small business. And based on what I'm reading as far as home rule communities go and the need for service at these establishments and the ability for home rule communities, I'd like to remind everybody, I don't think it's a matter of being able to charge more, but it's still a matter of what's in line, what's fair, and at the same time, I think most importantly, like right now, putting any more pressure on property taxes isn't an option, you know, to cover cost of services. Based on the survey that was done here, out of, let's just on this survey alone, if you get one,
There's 16
yeah,
locations.
there's, including us, there's 16 suburbs here, and we are in line with
Well, 15 are at
at least-
500 or more.
well, that's what I'm saying. We're in line with at least the bottom 4 or 5, and whereas the 2/3 of them are charging much more money for the same amount of service.
Mayor, if we did go along with Trustee Murphy's proposal, would that go into effect immediately, or would it go on the first of the year? Because if it goes immediately, do we owe refunds to other businesses?
I'd recommend prospectively, so next year is when it would affect us, because right now, 15 out of 16, I'd have to double check. Let's just say majority of everyone's paid their money for this year.
Okay,
And
thank you.
the board did approve relief for anyone that might not have paid their fees this year. They have until September 30th to make a payment.
Thanks.
So if that's, trustee, if that's your proposal, I would recommend next week, put that to a vote and see if the board wishes to do so.
Mayor, I appreciate Ms. Zeth coming forward and giving the alternative with regards to the fees to the gaming companies. And that would offset her expense, but yet not impact the village as greatly. And as long as the fee stays the same, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But how do we facilitate payment of those fees? Right now, we can do that with the establishment. I don't know that we can manage that easily with the gaming companies.
I wasn't bringing the gaming companies into this at all, with the, because, what you can potentially be doing with the well, first off, my assistant, Becky Smith, said she spoke to the state of Illinois, and the state of Illinois doesn't want the gaming companies paying any of these fees. And I somewhat agree with that, because what happens is, let's say like right now, we've got 16 establishments that have got video gaming. Hypothetically, you could have 16 different gaming companies represented at each place. So right now, while we're trying to collect monies from 16 establishments, we'll double that work, and now we're going to find 32 people that need to come up with money, and and for the same purpose and stuff then too. So why are we taking on double the work and not being compensated for it then too? So again, it would be my opinion that I think based on the survey that's laying there, I feel that we have been fair to the establishments, and I can appreciate the request to reduce the fees. Obviously, everybody's got debt. Everybody's struggling a little bit with, even whether you're at home or in business, everyone's struggling with debt right now. This COVID-19 hasn't been friendly to anybody, and again, these fees, should the board consider reducing these fees, is basically for calls for service on these establishments that have video gaming. Okay. All right. Anybody else under petitions, communications? Anybody else have something to say?
Trustee Navas-Sparza had something on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Number 2.
I have an update related to the Alsip Complete Count Committee. So as I mentioned, we surpassed our 2010 figures. From our self-response rate in 2010 was 72.4. We're now at 73.8%. And again, a lot of the effort that I put into this is mainly because census figures determine funding for the next 10 years. So pretty much each person counted brings in about $1,400 from federal monies. Roughly, I don't know, state level in regards to resource allocation, but more people counted means more money coming. I asked the Census Bureau today, even though it's projected that our actual count will be less, what she said that the federal government determines is the census self-response rate. So the more people counted determines dollars. So even though we have a population loss, our census response rate determines funding and other federal decisions as well. Also happy to share that finally our kiosk will arrive this Friday, or maybe Monday. I think they've always switched the date on us when it's supposed to arrive. So we look forward to displaying it here at the village, and it's available to residents to come and take the census. And also will arrive in a good time when the Census Bureau will also host, a census drive here on September 16th from 1:30 to 2:30, I believe is the time. So that way, I think that might be when court happens on Wednesday, if that's the date.
I don't have the schedule.
Okay, so I think that's how it was timed or determined. So they'll have the kiosk available, but then they'll also have census reps as well. So there's still time to complete the census. The deadline is September 30th, and those are my updates for the census.
The COVID pandemic really slowed down our delivery on that kiosk, but I saw that picture today. That is very cool looking.
Yeah.
Very nice looking. And we can certainly repurpose that as needed and stuff then too, but obviously the trick now is we're going to have to advertise this in the newspaper, because the whole idea is if you don't have a computer, come in and use this. So we're not reaching out on a computer to get you to use ours. So we are going to have to use manual paper to get this word out and stuff then too. So,
Yes, and we'll follow the precautions, like have hand sanitizer and perhaps wipes, so people can wipe and so forth. But people go to grocery stores, use the pin pad and, the ATM and so forth, so it's also just maybe washing your hands afterwards and that. So the mayor was correct. Anything that was purchased through the census grant, we get to keep afterwards, like the kiosk that we can then use for other purposes here, and anything else that we purchased through the grant as well.
right.
Along with that, Mayor, the Census Committee, if you look at that sign that's on the firehouse fence or on the firehouse building on Pulaski, it's so deep and far back in, you can't even see it from the street. You got that construction fence going all the way out to Pulaski, just south of it, and then you got the firehouse blocking it on the north side. So is there a way we can maybe put that somewhere where it's more visible?
You know what, we got a good relationship with Vequity, the contractor. Maybe we can ask them if we can use their fence too,
That would be a great idea.
Yeah, we just don't have really any place to really hang that sign, and fortunately, that's the only place we have, so.
I mean, the only reason I seen it, I was sitting at a light and I had nothing better to do.
I'll put up on the aerial ladder, here you go.
But also, speaking of signs, if we could, you got that Reza's, I know they backed out of their deal. Is there a way we can get rid of their sign, or have De Liberto get rid of that sign?
Yeah, we're going to clean that up. And actually, we're hoping for demolition permits are coming through pretty soon with that yet, too. But I tell you, we got some good news tonight, because I'm really happy for this new group that's interested. Their letter of intent was pretty impressive, and with this new letter, or this RFP that we got this evening, we're going to be able to put another sign up there real soon yet, too, so that'll be good.
Yeah, I just don't want residents thinking something's coming that's not going to get there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, we're going to have a plan and zoning meeting September 9th, and just to finalize some parking models for fire water, so they want to get shovels in the ground as soon as we get that taken care of then, too. So, all right, we'll go back to our meeting. Standing committees, Finance and IT, Trustee McGlohan.
First, I will have the usual list of payroll and accounts payable for approval. And then the next item is discussion regarding public safety pension contributions. I don't really like the way this reads. Basically, and everybody has information in their packet. Realistically, what we're talking about is implementing a 3-cent per gallon gas tax, which is authorized by the state and has already been implemented by all of the surrounding communities. And basically, if we enact this, there are multiple benefits that can come out of it. One, it provides additional funding to Road and Bridge. And even bigger than that is that we could reallocate the current tax levy going into Road and Bridge towards the pension liability. So not only will this help with our pension funding, it would potentially then, it would help us to avoid potentially requesting for another property tax increase that I don't think anybody here wants to do. So by implementing the 3-cent per gallon gas tax, like I said, it does give us extra funds in Road and Bridge, and because there are roads in town that desperately need addressed, and we just haven't had sufficient money to do it. So there are, as I said, multiple benefits if the board would consider imposing the 3-cent tax.
Please keep in mind, Board, that our previous finance director, our former, I should say, finance director, pointed out to us a few times that what Trustee McGlohan's deferring to here is on your agendas, 3.25%. It needs to be allocated, budgeted, I should say, for wage and longevity increases. 3.6% will cover Tier 2 retroactive benefit increases. And then the final 4.3% are actuarial assumption revisions. In other words, sometimes what our actuarial is saying that our return on investments might be light, they need to be covered. Overall, this percentage totals up to 11.2%. Dollar-wise, this is $650,000. If this went as far as getting to a tax levy, you could be talking as much as 4.9% before you even considered operations costs. If we were to add 3 cents a gallon to the existing gas cost here in the village of Alsip, this will be enough money to cover this particular expense. This, not even expense, is what we need to cover for our contribution. Again, the last thing we want to do is go to the taxpayer, if we have to, and increase our tax levies any more than what we need. We only ask for what we need to, like I said, the last few years, we've kept it pretty fair. We haven't increased it the last couple of years, and we got to be fair to the taxpayer. And I think if we went to the taxpayer and asked them, well, you're here to decide whether you put 3 cents on some gasoline, or you went to the taxpayer and asked for $650,000 and a 4.9% increase on the 18% that we get, I think I know what the answer would be. So I'm asking the board to support the board is going to do what they wish. Let's put it this way. I only vote in the event of a tie, but I do think it's a better alternative than trying to certainly levy a tax against this. We were going to take this a little bit further. I met with Trustee McGlowan a couple of weeks ago, and we actually saw a little more there that if we were to eliminate some existing bonds that are there right now, we can actually accrue a little bit more money, and we'd almost have enough to do both this and maybe even eliminate vehicle stickers. But I think we have to think more conservative right now. I think let's take one at a time. This is the bigger fish to fry, and I can't say for sure we would have. In other words, if you eliminated that a couple of bonds, I can't guarantee I'd have the same money next year to do it again. So why initiate a program that we need to take back the following year? I'm still looking at trying to eliminate vehicle stickers right now. I've got a couple of ideas on that, but this is the bigger debt that we need to make our contribution for. And certainly the trustee, it's for you just made your proposal to the board, asking for them to consider this. If we get this approved before October 1, this can be implemented by the first of the year. So everything takes a little bit of time to get done.
Right, because, the collection will go through the state, which is why the timing gap, that we got to get it to them by October 1, and then they will turn it on January 1.
And you said that 3 cent tax would alleviate our 11.2% obligation?
Just what you're looking at here, right?
It will make up that amount of funding.
2 cents would have left us short. If you did the math that was proposed to us, 2 cents would have only brought in like $561,000. So it wouldn't have been enough to cover this. So we're trying to bring enough to cover what the contribution needs to be to cover this cost without asking the taxpayer for anything extra.
And so when you consider the amount of traffic that we have coming through town, or the amount of businesses in town where it's out-of-towners buying gas, and where people getting off the expressway to buy gas, it's not the Alsip resident that is completely bearing the cost of this. We're spreading it around.
Were there any projections in regards to how long, I guess, this tax, in essence, hypothetically could cover?
Say that again, trustee?
How long could, I guess my question would be how long would this tax cover our pension obligations? Like, are they still?
We're not sure. That's what our finance director had said too. We're not really, our actuarial is not sure that this may not reoccur for the next couple of years.
Well, you're not going to have to deal with the retroactive benefit. That was a one and done.
That's a one-time. The Tier 2 retroactive is a one-time. But we're not sure on the return on investments. Nobody's got a crystal ball to know where those are going to be. And again, we're still appropriating 3.25% every year for the wage and longevity increases that go along with this. Because typically, even with pension, public safety pension programs, there's a 3% increase every year per the state of Illinois, not the village. That's implemented by the state of Illinois. And anybody have any questions for the trustee or myself? All right.
All right, that's all I have under finance, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Next, Fire Committee, Trustee Murphy.
have a request to hire one replacement firefighter to replace a firefighter who was recently terminated. Chief, did you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, what I'm looking for is a consensus vote to start processing for how long it takes to do the background check. We believe that the former firefighter will appeal to the Fire and Police Commission. At least everything be ready with, as far as I can go, that's cost neutral. So the background check doesn't cost us anything because it's done through the police department. So that's about 2.5 weeks. By the time I get somebody in here, it's several days later. So I'm looking at almost 3 weeks before I can even get past the background check. Will be in about alignment with where the appeal will be as well. That makes sense.
Chief, how's your eligibility list stand right now?
Right in the list as of July 27th. So yeah, timing is good.
Okay.
So we'll be at the top of the list.
Okay. Can we get a consensus then for the chief? Yeah.
Can we defer the consensus until after the executive session?
Sure. Sure, that'll be fine.
Okay. And just let me know tomorrow then.
Pardon me?
Just let me know tomorrow what the vote turns out to
Sure,
be then.
that's fine. Yeah.
And that's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have the Police and Traffic Safety Committee. Trustee Dalzell?
No report, Mayor.
Okay. Chief Miller, you're here, committee. Anything you wanted to add tonight or anything like that?
I haven't seen you guys in a while.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Missed you too, Jay.
Thanks, Chief, for stopping by.
No, I will say, I'm sorry, Chief Zazinski just left, but we did have a real good, myself and the chiefs, both police chief, fire chief, deputy police chief, and fire chief as well, with the police and fire commissioners last week. We had a really good meeting, and we just had, like anything else, we had a couple of hiccups with communications. We're working those out right now then, too, so we expect that to be straightened out. And then, Chief, when are you looking to do your test then, too?
They're scheduled to start the written test in October.
When is? I'm sorry.
October.
October? Okay. All right. And Chief, we're going to use the same. Are we using the same company, or what company are you going to use for testing?
I believe we're going to continue to use COPS testing service, which
COPS
is who we
testing
used in the
service?
past.
Okay. Are you okay with that? You're okay with that?
Fine by me, as
Okay.
long as they have a list as soon as possible.
Okay. No, we had some good questions on behalf of the Police and Fire Commission, and I appreciate all the chiefs being there. I just sat there administratively, but you guys were able to resolve a couple of problems, and we're going to get them some help and get that straightened out right away then, too. Okay. Thank you. Next, Public Work and Boat Launch, Trustee Juarez.
I have a presentation of the Public Works Department June 2020 monthly activity report, and I have a request to post for hire one part-time maintenance worker due to resignation of a previous employer. Position is 25 hours per week at $13 per hour.
Trustees, one item that didn't make it on the agenda, and I had a conversation at our department head meeting last Wednesday with Superintendent Frater, and right now, unfortunately, he's down two outside personnel on workman comp issues right now, and a third person is going to be out sick for some time too. So he's actually down 3 full-time outside people right now. And Mike, you just had to excuse your summer help, right? They just exhausted their 10 weeks.
Right.
I would like to look at the idea.
Are any of them still available?
That I'm not sure. There's 4 that I know definitely that are not.
These guys they went back to college or whatever and stuff, yeah. I would like to get Mike some help. This is the time of year we get most of our public work things done, and a couple of sets of hands would be great. How about any of the other, Danny, Mr. Treiman, can I ask you, any of your guys available from the season yet too? Anybody still available?
Oh, you're talking
Summer guys?
We didn't bring summer help in this year.
You didn't, okay. Roger, how about your guys? Anybody available right now?
Right now, I've only got 1 young man left. The other ones have all left to go back to school.
I mean, we've been blessed with some wonderful weather this year, and, it's like, we still need to take advantage just before the bad stuff gets here. Mike's been on a roll. They're getting a lot of work done right now and stuff then, too.
I think to help out Mike, that we need to either raise the pay or lower the qualifications,
Well-
because that's the hardest.
Well, the thing right now is, these guys are all coming back to work at some point, so we can't fill those spots. And that's the thing, is that we got to look just for like some
Even
summer
for
help.
temporary help.
Yeah, I don't want to jam these guys up, and all of a sudden, we've got, all of a sudden the board comes back and goes, we got three too many guys or something like that. Now, I mean, Mike would love to have it, but, it's like, I don't want to jam up your guys thinking that they're being replaced. They're on workman comp.
We're just looking to bring in a couple of temporary seasonal employees.
Would
I'd
that
say-
be same qualifications as your regular employees, or would those qualifications change up a little bit?
No, they're less.
Because they're temporary.
They're less.
They're way less.
Summer helpers, we just need somebody that's over the age of 17.
And how much does that pay?
13?
13? 11?
Oh, no, that's the part.
Obviously, I can talk tomorrow with HR about this and stuff, because I don't know what she's got in the hopper, if she's got any contacts. And for the benefit of the public, a lot of these, the department heads weren't on microphone, but they were all saying the same, that they pretty much lost their summer help back to colleges or other commitments right now. I would like to get you at least 2 or 3 guys, if we could, for like just a month or two. I mean, just to kind of keep it up to speed. Can I get a consensus from the board to say it's okay to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, how about this side? Everybody okay? All right, Mike, let's work on that tomorrow. I'll speak with HR, and we can put some notices out on social media if we have to, or whatever the case may be. We're looking for some temporary help.
What are the,
Reach out to 2 that had just left. They may be able to come back in.
Okay.
what are those hours?
7 to 3:30.
Dan, I don't want to be selfish either. Do you need somebody while we're talking here? Because I know you're short a guy right now too, right? You are? Okay. Oh, that's right. You just had a retirement. You're right.
One starting on September 9th, and the other one is to be determined.
You want to see if we can go 1 or 2 if we get that lucky?
We're in a good position. We have, people in the pipe, for that last position, so.
Okay.
Should be good.
All right, thank you, Dan. I certainly would never forget you guys. You guys, similar work and all that kind of thing then too, but I don't want to just go one side of the house and not the other. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you very much. Next, we have the Building and Health, Trustee Zelinski.
You skipped sewer and water,
Oh,
please.
sewer and water, I apologize. Trustee Navis Berza.
I have the request to post a job availability in-house for 1 week, seeking a full-time clerical position within the water department to replace personnel who recently transferred to another department.
Okay, any questions on that?
Yeah, I got it.
Do we want to fill that at this time, or do we want to hold off?
From what I'm told by both Dan, this would be Dan's department. Dan, you want to speak to it real quick? Or?
Yeah, quickly, the biggest thing, for the department down there with manpower is right now Kathy's the only one that deals with the water. We need a backup for her. We're training, personnel to do that, but there's other manpower issues. It's not just my staff. I can't take away hours from Roger's staff, to work on water stuff. They're busy working on their, priorities there in that department. And so he can speak to, any time that's available there. We've looked at, some help from the clerk's office, but it's the same thing as to, they have their responsibilities down there is how much time they can give up, and the man hours that I need, I don't know that we can get from other departments.
It's a union position.
Right.
Can't do a roof.
Well, we're not in a position at this time, although I had asked for some cross-training to be done. It's not done yet, so we're not in a position to say that we can truthfully say we can eliminate a bargaining unit at this time. So I was hoping to get more of the cross-training done faster, but it's not happening as fast.
Well, there's documentation that needs to be developed on both sides for procedures, and they are working through that, as well as, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of turn here, I don't believe that the current person in water is got a full grasp of what their duties are since the person left. So it's trying to have her train somebody else on procedures that she needs to do might not.
Right, exactly. The work that Kathy has taken over, for Rebecca, she had, is learning that as well. So she's having to learn, new position as well as train, on their basic tasks. So it's challenging. That's why we're getting Erica, a lot more involved, so that she can help.
Yeah, I'm saying the same thing. It's just that I don't have the personnel, nor it's readily available to make a switch to say that I can eliminate one. So we're kind of forced to follow suit at this time.
The way that I read this, or I interpreted this, was, if someone can clarify, so the way I saw it was like we're looking for an internal candidate, and this is going to be...
Well, we
Because
have
it's
to
union, we have to
because of
post
the union.
internally first to see if anybody internally wants to switch. That's how the person that left water transferred to another department.
Right.
It was posted internally, they applied, interviewed, and were granted the slip, so to speak.
We do it as a professional courtesy to our employees, and certainly anybody from the...
It's in the CBA.
Yeah, it's part of the union contract. We have to.
We have
okay,
to post
it's
it
in the
internally
CBA.
for 5
Right.
days, and then we can post it externally.
Just in
Right.
case anyone else is listening and
Right.
is confused, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
So, yeah, somebody from another department, it could be public work, it could be a lot of different areas. If they want to make a switch, they're able to.
And it can be somebody that's part-time that may be interested in going full-time.
Right.
I don't know personally where these job postings are, but I know we've had an issue in the past. Is there a way we can make sure that
They're all over the
places
place?
have...
HR monitors that, yeah.
Supposed to be posted by the job docs.
Right.
But, yeah, they're actually required to be posted on the union bulletin boards, and there's 3 throughout the village hall. 1 in police, 1 in the clerk's office, and 1 in public works.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Okay. And then Building and Health, Trustee Zelinski.
Yeah, no report tonight.
All right. Human Resource and Insurance, Trustee Murphy.
I have a request seeking applications for a new Village of Alsip Finance Director. Has been posted in the following entities: South Suburban Mayors and Managers, Illinois Government Finance Officer Association, Southwest Conference of Mayors, Illinois Municipal League, Illinois Municipal Treasurers Association, and HR Gov.
I will tell you, everyone, we posted most of these last Thursday, and this morning, HR Manager Shanae Hunter told me that one of the organizations was asking as much as $500 to post. I thought that was kind of extreme, and she thinks
that's
that
crazy.
She thinks that Karen Bonema, we're going to confirm with her. We think we can get a half discount on that to get it done, and unfortunately, Ms. Bonema's out on leave for a few days, so we're going to know something later this week, and we'll follow through with it as soon as I get more information. And Illinois Municipal League, we paid a small fee for that today, so that's always a good source as well. So we're hoping for some good response on this. So no, we didn't pay for the expensive posting. Next was the Special Committee Reports, Economic Development, Trustee Navas Barza.
Thank you. I just have an update. Interviews were scheduled this week for the Economic Development intern position, so hopefully next week we'd be able to extend an offer to a candidate.
Sounds good. I sat in with that meeting today. It looked like a good applicant, so we'll see how we go from there. Next, Village Properties, Trustee McLaurin.
We pretty much discussed village properties already, so no further report.
Yeah, I did get something today that I'll talk more with your committee about. Just something Roger Early has covered before, and I left a notice on my desk. But in short, they're still having problems over there with not a lot, but onesie-twosies, people smoking marijuana now that it's been made legal, and they can't. That's against the rules over there. You know, it's again that violates your lease agreement and so forth. So, but unfortunately, the way the notice was posted, it said call the police. That's not really a police matter. It should be directed toward the management company.
The posting that we put up did say that they had to call the office.
I got one that said call the police. So.
3840, he's telling you the story.
Okay. Like I said, I'm going to fix it tomorrow. I just saw this afternoon, but we'll take care of this and stuff then too. So, Thank you very much. So next was ordinance legislation, trustee Zelinski.
No report this evening.
All right. And planning and zoning and licenses, trustee Juarez.
I have a presentation of a list of licenses dated August 17th through 28th, 2020.
Okay, thank you. We already covered presentations and communications. Anyone have any unfinished business? Any new business? Then we need to adjourn to,
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Mayor, we would need to recess because trustee
Recess, thank you.
Dalzell
Right.
wanted to defer a consensus for
Right.
something previous on the...
and we need to recess to executive session. I had a call for this to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against his counsel for the public body to determine its validity pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, Chapter 1. Can I get a motion and a second?
Trustee Dalzell is the first.
Second.
Ooh. Trustee Murphy. Roll call number 1 to recess to executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, Chapter 1. Again, roll call number 1 to recess to executive session. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navis Barza.
Yes.
Motion carries to recess to executive session.
Very good. Then we're going to recess now at 8:51 to executive session. Kill that, please. Thank you.
Oh, I have these for you.